my mind. Just trying to get Rookie a comfortable matchup. I think also getting rid of the Akali makes that a little bit more reasonable. It's the Azir finally. Okay, so we did ask for it. Did not get banned here, so what is going to be Knight's counterpick? There's no Ziggs anymore, and there are still a few control mages you can look towards.
Talia, always an option here against the Azir. Pantheon actually completely through this first phase of bans as well. Could be something that Beishwan wants to lock in on this first rotation for BLG. There it is. You know, we've seen Beishwan on some of these heavy skirmishers already here in this series. We've got the Jarvan in game 1, the Kiana in game 2. Gonna stick to a similar theme, something that can scrap and have a really powerful ultimate ability later in the game.
Thank you for playing Kiana game 2. Back on to Pantheon. There you go.
Not Sejuani, right? You'll take it.
It's not Sejuani, that is true. You actually get to skirmish the enemy jungler as Pantheon. Oh, we're getting lane. Are we going to get the lane dominant version of BLG? Are we just going to play Caitlyn Elise? No, we're going to play something a little bit different. It's going to be MF. I haven't been the biggest fan of this champion, and I think also the LPL community has also had mixed feelings on this champ. Still has some lockdown, and hopefully the range of the bullet time does give them some ability to play in team fights. We'll see how the rest of the draft kind of makes out for this guy.
Base AD buffs on 25-17 too, just to add a little bit of extra firepower, especially in the early game. We'll see if that can help Elk at all in this one, but you know, someone that doesn't get affected too much by bullet time is a tank, and so that's going to be a Scion locked in for TheShy. Not necessarily the hard carry style that we have traditionally seen from him, but IG just going for very standard picks and bans, wanting to go, I think, more on the safe side, late game team fighting, which again, we'll see if it ends up working for them, because honestly, the way that it's been going, late games haven't really been happening in this series so far.
I think this is a disgusting Gwen angle. Gwen has been a champion that has been omega. It's one of the most banned champions versus BLG. Imagine that IG are going to probably look towards getting rid of that champion in the second phase of draft if it's not immediately snapped up here. You see that BLG do want to just try to lock down that mid lane matchup. They do not want to give over something like an Orianna or a Talia to make it all the way to the second phase or even get banned by IG. I wouldn't like the Victor. I think it's a little too short range and you don't get through these tanks as early on. Talia still has that same problem, but I will say having the ability to make map plays was a problem for BLG in the regular season, and hopefully they can do a little bit more here in this game as they are hyper mobile with these three champions, the ultimates, and then Misfortune's natural MS that she gets from her strut.
It's going to have a nice composition set up for BLG where, you know, if you pick up, you could very easily pick somebody off on a side lane and make sure you don't have to play full 5v5s, which is seemingly the direction that IG want to go with the way their composition around the top side of the map has been set up. As we head into the second phase of bans, Braum banned away from Meiko to make sure that you cannot block that bullet time. That's another nice you know, angle to go for them. IG's bottom lane getting left for last two picks here. Alk, what do you think they want to go for? I feel like a lot of the main AD carries that we've liked to see out of Gala have been either banned or picked away.
You have Ezreal that's available. I imagine that BLG are going to maybe be looking towards it. It's not bad into the MF, especially with just being able to poke. IG have a lot of range already kind of built into their composition because they have an Azir. You have these really tanky front lines in the Skarner and the Scion, so I imagine that an Ezreal would be nice. This could also be a composition where you're looking to play Jhin as well. Just make sure you can try to poke and prod at your opponent. Scion, or the Aatrox and Mordekaiser, really forcing the opponent's hand here. Could also still be Jax, honestly, for BLG. Would mean that they're rather short-ranged, but the ability to play on sides and the Counter-Strike could be really, really influential.
I mean, the thing you mentioned at the start, the Gwen, still available for ban if he wants to select it here on R5. We'll just wait to see what the rest of the composition for IG does end up looking like. The Jhin, I think, should be okay with Rookie having a lot of damage on this Azir pick and just being able to add a little bit of lockdown that can, you know, synergize well with what Wei and TheShy already have to offer. See what exactly the final pickup is. Rakan finally left through the ban phase, which means that Meiko will now get his hands on it.
Okay. Meiko does play very, very well on this Rakan with the front line that he has, because it means that he can suddenly, with Battle Dance, leap from halfway across the screen and join his front line, not only peeling with the Grand Entrance, but maybe making something happen with that quickness as well. see what this last champion is going to be. Obviously waiting, giving Gala a little bit more time here. Still going to end up being that Jhin, so 2v2 might not be as prominent, but Jhin can really start to fight early, and if we're talking about range, they might just be playing with house money. I don't like that hover from on. Let's just get the Gwen, put the Gwen in the bag, and let's get ourselves a really strong composition from BLG that is going to win as we get further in.
You know, the Mordekaiser and the Aatrox maybe can do a little better in the laning phase against Sion, but Gwen does just fine. You'll be able to get some nice CS advantages and then just rip apart the front line of IG as you get later on into this game. BLG have themselves a fascinating but very powerful team composition that has opened up. Composition that you might have seen back at start of Split 2, just in terms of some of the high priority picks at the time. And all of them still kind of being prevalent in the meta right now. You have the semi-globals that are fully available in that mid-jungle. I'm really keeping my eye on Beishuan and Knight because they have been the difference makers in this series for me that have resulted in BLG going up 2-0, and they have all the tools in the world to try to make this a sweep.
And Rookie has not looked as good on the Azir all year long. He's has a negative win rate on it despite his, I think, legendary career preceding him. This is another composition, Grapes, where early on, I think BLG have a lot of ways that they can play. Scaling-wise, that Gwen is going to be a big nightmare, but it does come down to Knight and Rookie. Can Rookie take advantage of this Azir and hopefully pilot the Emperor of Shurima to the first game victory in this series for IG?
No time like now, otherwise you're down to the lower bracket a lot quicker than maybe you originally expected. Invictus Gaming, it's been such a smooth road for them up to this point. Even the only team to take a 3-0 sweep in the first round of the playoffs, but now getting tested mightily by Bilibili Gaming, who have just over the past 3 years been such a dominant force in the LPL. We'll see if they can close things out in a sweep here, or if IG have a little bit more to say left in this series.
And IG, I got a word with you, okay? If we're not gonna do it for us, if we're not gonna win with any kind of spirit or heart, we're just gonna lose all these early games to BLG. Do it for the kids, man. There are kids in the audience here that are quote-unquote sponsoring your team for today. This is supposed to be a school versus school battle. This is supposed to be two elementary schools. There's kids in the audience here rooting for you.
They made that awesome logo for you on the top left corner of your screen.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the beautiful colors.
There's like a little trophy in there as well to represent their trophy. I love it. It's beautiful. Yeah, we were talking about this in the break in between games. Producer Rare Adam was going
Barely lead gaming.
Yeah. Longest game in the split for Split 3 was that BLG AL series that we kind of talked about earlier. And so far, we've had 55 minutes of in-game time already. BLG starting to blitz through this series. Junglers are starting on the top side of the map, so maybe we might see some early action here, especially with a Rel in Misfortune.
We barely have been league gaming here in this series so far. I do want to try to change that narrative, and it starts with a good early game in this one. And obviously, the champions scale on their side, but make sure that you're in a good position to start things off. And you already see those heals being burned early as level 2 is now hit by Meiko. Early flash from It's going to be flashed by Meiko as well. Get himself away from that Q stun. IG though still controlling the bottom lane. That's a good sign for them.
Exactly. IG just using this range. Alkanon already half HP, having to burn through those pots. And IG, they're still sitting. They've got another 3 biscuits coming on through for this bottom lane. And for the most part, it's going to be fine. There's not too much action, especially in the mid lane. Rookie should just be able to farm very safely, and it's up to Knight to, in the early game, try to push Azir around, push his mana bar early on. So we'll see what Knight can do up against his opponent.
We get the first 3 waves in and head back to base. Hey, quick reminder once again, as we kind of at a slower point in this game. The LPL English broadcast is brought to you by Codec.gg. You use the code LPL10 at prodip.gg to review your game. Get high-level coaching from the best of the best in the ERLs, the NACL, and even the LPA North. Use the code again, LPL10, link in the chat as well. Big thanks to Prodip for sponsoring us here on LPL.
We've done it, Grapes. Maybe Danny said something over on IG. We've taken the red buff before 5 minutes.
Do it. It's a better start than game number 1. A full clear 4-way. Round of applause to everybody. No shenanigans with the counter jungling. We're going to get a crab here as well. As
double crab maybe?
One who goes for the early gank. Just forcing a cleanse out of Gala. That means that now Wham's going to have the tempo here in the early game.
Gwen is pushing on top side, probably just going to TP back into this lane. I wouldn't be surprised if IG opt to go for a swap. You have a Scion on your team. MF is making the recall as well. Meiko's going to try and stop this. This is really good for IG's tempo. Being able to stop this swap also forces Bin to teleport into that top side. And BLG are probably going to have to catch another wave, which means that they will not be able to reset first.
Teleport comes up from the top side for TheShy, so they want to
Rookie,
hold the
please
lane
don't do
states right
this.
now as Rookie going to be in a lot of trouble. There goes that threaded volley, and there goes that man Knight with a solo kill once again.
3 games, 3 solo kills. Knight is just absolutely gapping the living hell out of Rookie in this series. What a disgusting display of talent coming in from one of the most legendary players on both sides of the Rift here. But yet again, getting solo killed as Azira is honestly kind of mind-boggling to me. Like, you have all this range, you should not be getting this. The matchup shouldn't be going like this.
But that's just what Knight's been able to do here in the LPL this season, in the LPL this playoffs. As Rookie, our featured matchup, by the way, does not hold a candle what Knight's had to offer here today.
Rookie has not had a very strong 2025. If we're being completely honest, we look at the stats that we saw in the head-to-head. We also look at just how his level of play has been looking throughout the year, and it hasn't been the most solid. Even in that EDG series, felt like he was a little behind the curve.
TheShy doesn't flash away from the snip, and Bin is able to get a solo kill of his own. The solo laners for BLG out firing in this third game.
Okay. The Gwen matchup is good, but it's not supposed to be this good. Like, what? I don't know what to tell everybody. This is just BLG outhandsing their opponents, and the solo lanes for IG collapsing here in this series. Not a thought that we thought was going to be occurring, but now we live in a reality. This is the game state that we have now, where both of IG's lanes have been solo killed with no jungle intervention whatsoever. This, I thought Bin was not going to find this kill. I was even saying it. I talked over you. I'm sorry, Grapes. This should have been your call. But Bin gets level 6 in the middle of this wave and then just lets it rip. There's another fight maybe in the mid, picture-in-picture. Nope. LPL observers, they trust this replay.
I mean, TheShy just the flash at third proc of the North is fine. But he doesn't do that. He tanks the damage and then yeah, he's just gone. So not the best start here for IG, and they're going to maybe get punished again as Rookie without a flash in severe danger once more. Already has used the Emperor's Divide. It's going to go down to the hands of On this time, as that's the Feats of Warfare picked up before the 7-minute mark, and they might look for a 4th as well. Like this calls impact back under the tier 3 turret, but it's going to be Beishwan still getting the kill. Finally, Wei will get one back. As it is the jungler for BLG down, On going to be able to flee successfully, but still it is BLG controlling Summoner's Rift.
Okay, do we FF? Like, I wouldn't say that that's possible, where we're going to actually see what exactly happened. We're just getting stuck in replays now. As the picture-in-picture, we had it, and now it's gone. So that was Rookie trying to see that, hey, Knight doesn't have flash. I'm going to use my ultimate, but he comes back to lane. He's died twice before the 8-minute mark. And I love what we got in that fight where On flashes over Meiko's engage to stop him, grabs Rookie, and then the entire play kind of falls out as we saw. So now it's not a gold, it's not a CS advantage in mid, but it is one in top lane. And now it's a gold advantage as well, appearing for Knight. An amazing early start here for BLG here in this game number 3.
Yeah, actually, he's done a nice job to equalize the gold in certain areas, particularly towards the bottom lane, where Gala and Meiko have had a nice opportunity to at least pick up a little bit of farm, but not really going to matter too much because of the fact that BLG has all the gold in all the right places. Knight and Bin are going to be absolute monsters we can progress throughout this game. As IG get one grub, it might come at the cost of a whole lot of kills. Decimating Smash not going to find anything. The Impale, though, going to find Beishuan. He goes too far and will get taken down. But the bullet time has been popped by Elk, forced to flash away from both TheShy and Wei. And Knight still has a full load of spells to use. Not going to find Meiko, not going to find Gala. And now BLG stuck underneath this turret. The curtain call is just going to stall things out as IG will all survive.
Beitron's gonna come back to the scene of the crime. Grapes, that was 4 flashes from Invictus Gaming. The teleport invested there by Knight. He tried to make something happen. There's no Weaver's Wall, but I love how we're seeing BLG walk through the map. Knight had deployed into bot side, fought that wave. It is Rookie who is now going to get at least 2 plates for himself, so gets a bit of an advantage. And nobody dying there for IG is literally the best case scenario. Oh, and they get 2 grubs. Okay. All right, IG.
Hold on, Elk.
The early game has been good, but it's resolving. It's making good.
Somehow, IG is still in this one. Honestly, this is one of the closer early games that we've seen, even though we thought it was going to go bad to worse. But IG very nicely picking up some kills on the back half of things to salvage this early game. Again, they have the scaling to really make things happen. If we can get to that point. That's always been the big if in this series. BLG have not let them have it so far, but now IG will be in a good position to do so as they caught out on. He has to crash down over the wall. Will be able to survive. But now IG going to continue the push here. And into the slow. Here comes the quickness. Knockup's going to connect on. Just trying to stall up the rest of his team. He's still able to survive as Knight uses the seismic shove to stun away 2 members of IG.
Does this mean that IG can actually start up the dragon? Elk walks way too far. What is his positioning? We are rather aggressive. No flash from Beitron, but he does have the ultimate. And Elk is going to have that bullet time coming up in a few moments. IG, let's just start up the dragon. They cannot contest you on this objective. They have to be able to catch bottom wave and this mid wave.
Wei going forward again. He has his ultimate, maybe looking for Knight. Deadly Flourish connects onto Talia, followed up by the Impale. But Knight's crash down comes through from On, and Wei will die first in the fight. Exhaust lands onto Elk. He flashes and uses the bullet time, but it won't be able to find a kill, as the spear does not find Meiko either. He uses the grand exit to get away, and so far all of IG still up and running, and the health bars are dangerously low on BLG's side. Curtain call going to find 2 members, as Rookie will claim Beishuan as well. IG right back into this game 3.
Okay, finally, we have some gaming going on here from IG, able to finally get a skirmish that goes their way. A kill for Rookie, kills for Gala. I think not a bad trade overall, but a messy one at that, and maybe BLG playing a little too fast. We have seen them in this series, they've been able to get away with it, but here in this 3rd game, not enough buttons for you to play with, and I love the start for this, especially how BLG were able to not only segment this fight, but maybe even stall out and give themselves ways to play. But after we get to this point, this is where it's just too far. We've missed out on the engage from On. There's nothing here from Beitron, and this just turns into free gold, and honestly, free time for IG to play.
And I was a little bit hesitant about IG going for that fight, just because they didn't have their 1-item spikes at all, and there's a competition that likes to scale, but credit to them, they played that out really well. Gala really understanding his limits on this Jhin, knowing that he can step forward, knowing where he can pop that curtain call and just force all of BLG back, and he never got hit by any significant spells and was really able to carry that last fight alongside Rookie. However, the dragon was not taken by either side, so BLG come right back towards it and forced IG to try to fight again.
Not enough buttons here from IG. They're gonna have that Emperor's Divide now coming on through. There's no ultimate for Gala. Bin can't even TP. This is gonna be a straight on 4v5, but they don't have position here from IG. They need to not only fix the mid wave, but also allow for Rookie to properly set up as this is here.
Come back up. Now the Empress Divide is here. Curtain calling 10 seconds. Nice Weaver's Wall from Knight's going to separate way from the rest of his team and allow for BLG to take him down. Dragon gets reset, but it's already one kill into the hands of Bilibili as the curtain call is now here to try to slow down the rest of BLG. Make sure that they are not going to be able to save their mid laner as Knight will get taken down. On goes for the Magnet Storm, but Meiko will flash away beautifully as Rookie will get on the board as well. 2-0 for IG, and they're not even able to prevent BLG from getting that dragon.
This is way too many mistakes coming in from Bilibili. Azir's gonna catch this bottom lane wave. It's another mid wave caught here by Gala and Meiko. Huge mistakes from BLG that are making it much harder for them to play. They had such an explosive starter to this. And while Wei is sacrificed, they just don't have enough damage for this fight. I mean, we talked about from drop that with the Misfortune, you should be able to at least pick off one member with the bullet time, and we see that here in this fight. But there is not enough lockdown, and I think the target acquisition from this game, or from these last couple fights from BLG, just not great. We see another situation where at least one member, last time it was Elk, now it's Knight, separated from the rest of the squad.
So not the same level of coordination in that early to mid game from BLG like we see from them. And hey, IG bringing a little bit of the hands this time around to these objective fights. It was first around the grubs, then around that first dragon, which still hasn't been taken, by the way. BLG thought they were going to have the opportunity to finish that one off, but IG forced them all the way off of it. And so we could just see a return to the scenes of crime once more for these teams.
Danny had a discussion with Wei where he said, you cannot let the red buff not be taken for the first 5 minutes of the game. For Dragon, it could sit there for 15 for all I care, but make sure you are cycling your camps. As a jungler, you must be able to get that. It's how you stay up in levels. It's how you're able to stay competitive in the game, especially as a role that eventually loses access to gold depending on if you're winning or losing and if your teammates are also taking your camps. So, very, very important.
And look, Wei's actually even in CS to Beishwan at this point of the game the past 2 times around, and Beishwan with a significant farm advantage compared to his opposition. So Wei understanding the assignment just a little bit better this time around, as the Dragon is now still going to be the topic of conversation. BLG the one to start it off, but the big jungle of IG is right back here to try to defend.
There is a Weaver's Wall available. Oh my.
6 HP! And it's going to be Wei to steal it away. He will go down as this response, but Beishwan misses the smite, and it means that all the work that BLG made to go for the dragon is going to be all for naught. Blocks the 4th shot here with the Aegis, and now On is on the wrong side of the rift. Meiko comes forward with the grand entrance and is getting followed up by Rookie. One more auto will do it, and IG get themselves another kill, and the dragon handed to them on a silver platter. Elk now chasing down Meiko. He has the bullet time to try to close it out, but he will not be able to find the kill. And BLG, just things are falling apart at this point.
BLG, Elk just flashed forward to get absolutely nothing. Been teleported for this, and they got nothing. I don't know what BLG are doing. This is the exact BLG that we had seen throughout the regular season, where they're a little lost on the map, where they're taking way too many fights, and BLG now get punished. This might just be a solo
kill. Knock-up lands here on tonight. In comes that Grand Starfall from Beishwan, though, to make it a disadvantageous numbers game for TheShy. He's regenning very nicely with those biscuits, but he's on the wrong side of the map. Seismic Shove will do. L gets the kill. Number 2 on the game for the MF.
Am I allowed to say this is a good death? Because this is just going to be turning into Herald. And that'll mean that it is so much easier for IG to get to that scaling point. We've been talking about if you can give IG time, they can win a game. You're going to get a Zir to 2 items with this Herald and potentially even another turret, especially as a team that has some portion of these grubs. 6 HP, you called it during the fight. And the W coming on through from Wei ends up grabbing the dragon. The rest of this fight is just so sloppy, and there is just no reason for BLG to step forward.
On the wrong side of things, he ends up going down. IG, not necessarily in a lead, but the way that the composition scales, the fact that
they are now
at this point right now, or 700 gold ahead at this point, you're going to be able to be happy about, right? You have Scion scaling, you have Azir and Jhin that are going to be very strong as we get later on as well. Wei, just such a great facilitator in terms of finding just tons of crowd control with this Skarner pick, as well as being a big beefy frontliner. IG has the competition to play in the late game. They've had it for the last couple of games, but this time, they're not 5,000 gold behind with 15 minutes. They're dead even.
And Rookie just got a complete side lane turret to himself. They use a Rift Herald mid, doesn't take down this mid tier 2, or it's mid tier 1, but it is very close to falling. And imagine that if they can find one more pick, if they can open up an area on the map, maybe that's something that they can look for. Knight does have ultimate, and Beichuan's going to have that Grand Starfall soon. Let's see if we can finally get BLG making some map plays with this combo.
Meiko now in some trouble, but he's able to use the Grand Net trick to get away. Redemption going to heal him up as well. Just means a lot of more spells utilized by BLG will not result in a kill.
That's a mid wave for them. They can use this to push in the bottom side and cut Rookie off from getting items and gold here. Finishes his Rylai, so 2 items here now online. And they've caught
now
Elk.
Elk is in some trouble. He gets impacted straight into the tower. And means that Gala is able to get kill number 3. Finally, the IG bottom laner getting involved in this series. The IG have even up the kill count once again, looking for another one now on the Beichuan. They find the Impale, but now look at the back line here. Gala's in a lot of trouble as Knight goes in with the Weaver's Wall and will be able to take him down. And now Meiko trying to knock up Knight, trying to survive with the help of Rookie as he is still untouched on the back line, but so is Knight until he finally ends up going down. Bin and TheShy going at it in the mid lane as Rookie finally has that lethal tempo proc, issuing those Sand Soldiers down onto Bilibili Gaming, but Bin still hammering down onto TheShy and making sure that BLG do not get wiped in that fight.
Bin might be the only way that this team's able to win this game at this point. He is going to be a huge threat in this game, but everything else is collapsing, and Elk gets punished for that flash that we saw when he was chasing Meiko in this bottom side brush. He doesn't have flash, gets tagged with the deadly flourish, and gets pulled in under the turret. BLG, they need to slow the game down. Yes, it is a time advantage that will go over to IG if they can get this to go later, but let's make a play on side lane. If Rookie is going to be on this Azir picking up waves, let's move with a Grand Starfall and Talia combo. It has just been completely desynced between these two, and it does allow you to make numbers plays, but I'd like to see some coordination coming in from this team. The only reason Knight gets that kill is because Meiko ends up dashing over the Unraveled Earth. Otherwise, that should have just been a completely one fight here for IG, and they're going to start to threaten onto the Otacon. Don't think they have a lot of damage for this objective, but they have a pretty nicely fed Azir, so might be able to make it pretty easy.
IG has done really well about playing around this objective. They're one of the few teams that understand, especially when they're ahead or the ones to start the Otacon, like how to peel off of it, look for fights instead of just trying to throw all their resources into finishing the objective. And I agree with you right now, 2 full items on both Rookie and Gala. This is a great opportunity for them to go for that objective. They find the Deadly Flourish combined with the Impale, and Elk has to already flash away on the first casualty, but the bullet time going to separate the fight for now. TheShy coming with the teleport, but Bin is soon to follow. He flashes over the Estimating Smash, but he still gets shuffled right back in by Rookie, and stuck in a 1v3. Bin will not be able to find a damn thing as Gala picks up the kill. TheShy still looking to chase down the rest of BLG, forcing Beichuan to flash away, and it's still a numbers advantage in the hands of Invictus Gaming with the Otacon up and ready for them to take.
They can't take this though. Way reset and it goes back. Are they going to keep this aggroed? Pushing onto the bot lane. Do they pull this? There's not enough TPs. Bin, huge mistake going into that fight. Flashes, teleports, and immediately gets hit with the Emperor's Divide, so he can't even fight. Like, you're going to maintain their gold lead, and there is a dragon. This is the second dragon of the game at 22 minutes. Grand Starfall. Why are we doing this replay? Observers, please! Oh my god, there's a fight!
He's going for something? No, Beichuan is in a lot of trouble as he gets critted by Gala as we go right back to the live client. Rookie going forward with the shifting sands, knock-up plans here onto Elk, or onto Knight, I should say, as the Talia gets shut down, and IG find 2 more kills.
I called an FF in this game number 3 very early on, but maybe not for BLG, okay? Maybe IG actually do got some fight in them. Should be their Otacon. Bin has ultimate again.
Yeah, he's back and ready to party, but not on, and not Bin either, as the Rookie is able to do so much damage, and Gala gets himself a double kill. That's a tower in the bot lane finally taken. Otacon will eventually go down, and Invictus Gaming just finding fight after fight after fight that results in them having a significant advantage in this 3rd game.
Well, if you can't love BLG in their game 1s and games 2, you can't love them in their game number 3 here. This is exactly the BLG that you've signed up for if you've been a fan of this lineup for 3 years now. It is all about fighting, all about trying to make sure that you can muscle your opponents out from objectives. These last 2 games, they got to do what they got to do around objectives because they had huge gold leads. This time around, they're barely fighting in this game. We had been teleported to this plate, die, respawn, walk all the way back, and die again. This is exactly the BLG that you signed up for, and it is just a tragedy here in this game number 3.
I now understand why the observers went for replay, because there's no way Beishuan should have gone for that ultimate, as he didn't find any damage onto anybody, just died. Knight ends up falling as well. So that's going to be the Otacon, as well as the numerous amount of kills going into the hands of Invictus Gaming, who again have a ton of scaling on their side, as Rookie and Gala continue to get stronger and stronger with each kill that they pick up.
I just been teleported in, flashed, died, walked back, died again. I'm not going to say it's a caster curse, because these guys are just like trying to slam their head into a wall at this point from Bilibili. We said do it for the kids. I'm glad that BLG have some heart. They're doing it for the IG students. They want to make sure that at least they get a win here for Teacher Appreciation Day.
That is true. Hey, this is their duty to make sure that all the kids like playing League of Legends, right? If you want to support your team, they just get smacked. Why would I ever want to play this game, right? So if you're BLG, maybe technically use it.
We got to go to game 5. We just need as much practice as possible as BLG. They're like, you know, we could do it. Like, if we win some games on blue side, if we win a game, they won a game on red side, which I think is really important, because once we get into the last game of the series, if IG win the next 2, BLG will have access to blue side. And that could potentially be the breaker here in this.
Okay, here's the thing. BLG's composition is not meant for the full front-to-back that IG's is. I mean, you look at a Scion Skarner with an Azir Jhin backline, like, that is a competition meant to stack up as 5. BLG are playing into that game by going through these big objective fights. So they're not using the semi-globals in the way that we want them to, and that, I think, is resulting in them falling behind and just not having any chance in these fights.
They're also just not getting many opportunities to do so, but they need a lot of lockdown. That coordination is so important. Can we get Elk, or can we get On and Beishuan to make sure that there are targets that cannot move so this bullet time is properly applied? A Baron is a perfect spot to let this ultimate let loose, so let's see how BLG play the rest of this map. There's not a wave for them to really play for on bottom side. Benny's going to pick this up for now. Might just be afraid because he doesn't want to be late. He doesn't have something like a Scion ultimate that lets him get here expeditiously.
Poking and prodding right now, but it does result in On getting taken down to half HP. The Baron is up, but IG do not want to start it just yet. Another wave down into the mid lane. Set the Sun Disc there to make sure that BLG have a very difficult time just maneuvering around the map, causing extra chaos
it's Baron
for
time
all
now,
5
buddy.
of their players as they now turn their eyes towards the objective, or at least just clearing out vision around the top side jungle of the Bilibili.
Should just be their objective. I mean, you have a level 13 Skarner. You're going to also have this Azir ripping through it. It's up to BLG. Can we be creative? How are we getting into the pit? Got to also get Elk into position as well. Bin doesn't have a teleport flank. They're doing this in Fog of War right now.
Okay. Blue Ward has the top, so they know now the HP, and when Beishuan might have to just flash in there and go for some sort of flip. Bin already dashing over the wall. It's going to be a 50-50, but it's secured by the crit of Gala before Beishuan can even get even close to the Baron. He jumps over far too late, gets taken down by the Birdman in Rookie, and IG are wearing purple for the next 3 minutes and change.
They got it done. I mean, Rookie, remember, he got solo killed in this game. He got a dove again, dies a second time, and from then on out has played this game absolutely flawlessly, as we've seen BLG continue to flounder trying to find kills. And Impale from Wade does not get anything. Meiko's searching, they're looking, they're getting nothing. Let's just pull out, guys. We only got to. Oh.
Okay, here goes On, forcing a flash out of Gala. It was a nice attempt, but it still will not find the AD carry of Invictus Gaming, but maybe Bin will be able to do so. The true damage, though, does not connect on the snip. That means that Gala will get yet another kill. Curtain Call not going to slow down Elk, but still IG have the Baron buff. They're going to get this mid lane tier 2 and continue to add to their gold lead.
This doesn't feel like the IG magic that I signed up for. This just feels like BLG are making it very easy for their opponents. 10 1,000 gold lead on the cusp right here for Invictus, and at least making this series a little bit more competitive. But I gotta be honest, Grapes, if we go into game number 4 and it is another BLG win, I feel like this third game will be for naught at this point. I need to have Invictus Gaming continue to show this level of poise.
Just a different look from BLG at this point. Not the same level of coordination like we saw from them the first few games. Credit it to champion pool, the draft, whatever, or just pure mis-execution, which I think you could definitely attribute a little bit as well. But IG able to take advantage vitally. They're able to pick up this third dragon. They still have a minute and a half here onto the Baron buff, and it might take a little bit longer than BLG normally does to close out these games, but they are going to most likely be in a position to do so.
They got the third dragon. I don't even think we're seeing Soul at this point, Grapes. I've got to be honest, like 3-item Azir and Jhin just makes this a tough sell if I am on the side of BLG. They're going to take the one of the last outer turrets here. Still one sitting in top lane, but I think it is a mere formality at this point. Sundisk as well is going to continue to provide them with support from behind, and they have all of these wards. There's no flank possible here for BLG outside of using these Hex Tech portals, and love that they're utilizing this range.
Grandbuff still got one more wave to use both mid and bot. The towers actually haven't taken just yet. The pure siege threat for an Azir Jhin is not great, and so that is why maybe it's a little bit harder to break open the structures as of yet, even though the gold lead continuously trying to grow. They're just looking for the fight instead, and in goes Way with the 3-man, and Pale already Knight is dead, and that should do it. 3 for nothing off the extended play results in a double kill in for Gala, and with the inhibitor in the bot lane down and only Bin and Elk left to try to save things, IG are making sure the sweep doesn't happen here in game 3.
Give them the win. Oh man, this is a really rough game from Bilibili, and kind of a heart crusher when you've seen the last 2 games, but we talked about it. They've got house money to play with here in this series, and it looks like IG are going to at least push us to game number 4.
A breath of life for Invictus Gaming, the best that we've seen them look today, as game number 3 against BLG will go to them in just over 30 minutes time off for the back of their big carries in Rookie and Gala.
A fantastic performance that started off rough. We came in, we're like, oh, this I was at least looking like this might be a 3-0. We were getting ready for bed. We were making jokes about you getting finally to get some rest, but not going to be the case, at least for now.
I'll take it. I'll take a competitive series, and if we get to see more games like that from IG, I'm all for staying awake. I don't know if our producer Adam is though, as I heard some noises out of it.
Hey, his fault. I won't expose him for what was going on before we started this show, but okay. So a tough look here from BLG, but a very, very strong game, I think, from IG, who got some champions that we were worried about, right? Like, we're seeing Azir for Rookie that hasn't been good for most of the season. I feel like you do have this ability for the Rakan to be able to play, but we were trusting, is IG actually going to make it to a late game scenario? I feel like BLG kind of handed to them on the silver platter.
I mean, we just need to see BLG play not like that for this next game, and I feel like we can then have a conversation about how strong IG are. I think obviously IG played better this game than they did in the last game. You know, Way able to match the farm of Beishuan finally for the first time, hold serve at the very least in terms of the first couple of clears, and then just give opportunities for their carries to step up as Gala and Rookie put up some of the performances that we were hoping to see from them going into this best of 5. But I can't help but think that a lot of the reason why that happened is because BLG just did not look the same as they did in those first 2 games.
No, and they got champions that are quite iconic for them, right? Like, just being able to have access to the Talia for a night, Gwen for Bin, a champion that in history has gone well for him. I think the matchups weren't played well. He even got the solo. We started off this game with both of the solo laners getting solo killed. That should have been the game at that point. But BLG mess up a lot of their objective fights. We saw extended engagements and more gold being given over to Rookie, which was part of the plan. Let's see if we can get this Azir up and running on 2 items and just win the game from there.
There's definitely some sort of hope if you're an IG fan that, you know, maybe this can continue going forward, but it's hard to say, at least for now, just given that BLG are going to have blue side here for game number 4 for the first time since game 1. as well as, you know, it's going to be hard for them to try to play worse than they did in the first few minutes of that last game. As we await for some of the highlights, our player of the game, I think we go towards Gala. I saw the fan vote most likely favoring him at this point on the Jhin. Had a great game on that one, but
yeah,
if you're IG, this is more of what you wanted to see.
And maybe their tendencies to win late game moments maybe also applies to best of fives too. As we get later into the series, IG start to scale up. They start to really get in their bag. Maybe that's the plan here.
That would be, you know, that's a beautiful narrative that you just delivered. There's not going to be much data to back it up, but you know what? If it happens, then we can continue to praise it as we continue to go along as IG. They have the pedigree, right? International champions across the board for all 5 of their players, and so just that alone should be enough to you know, tell you that they're not going to be fazed by, you know, the pressure of being down 0-2 in a series. They're always going to be able to lock in, feel calm, cool, and collected, and we clearly saw that happen here in this one.
I'm just so hesitant because we've seen so many essentially gentleman sweeps. You give one game over your opponent and then you finish it out. I need to see a resilient game number 4 here from IG, and I think the worrisome thing for me here, Grapes, is even if IG win this next game, you're just going to see BLG on blue side for now 2 games in a row after this one. Assumably, we're going to see BLG pick blue side for game number 4, and we've seen that blue side has been very, very dominant for all of our teams. So I think getting later into series, getting a win on red side is very important in series like these.
And BLG already have done it, right? They took game number 2 on that red side in pretty effective fashion, I could say, at the very least. If you get another look at some of these highlights again, just IG setting up their carries for success, right? A lot of the kills just ended up going into Rookie and Gala's hands by either coincidence or intent, and that is a recipe for success for this roster.
We got to see at least a carry performance from Gala and Meiko. Felt like they were rather invisible in this series. We talked about the first 2 games. There being such a heavy focus from a drafting perspective about trying to get some, you know, better picks here for Meiko. We also talked about coming into this game as well, like, is Misfortune really a champion that we really want to kind of stake our claim here and put ourselves in a position to play? Because she doesn't have a ton of setup. There was no front line really for this team. You have the Rel and Misfortune, but aside from that, there's not all that much. This felt much like a pick composition here from BLG, and Elk had very, very little influence on this game, who I think has had big moments in this series already.
Yeah, not this time around. He was never put in the position for that bullet time to have too much of an effect, as 5v5 for IG, it was just better, and there were decisions that were questionable again coming through for BLG. Felt like maybe they were just a little bit too confident this time around, even, you know, without considering the composition of what IG had as well as the gold lead in certain situations, just feeling like they were forcing fights a little bit too much this game.
What a BLG way to lose this game, dude. Like,
just running over and over again. That was 3 separate instances of them losing around that Otacon.
I love Otacon. Now, some might say Otacon caused that issue. I say that's just Bilibili Gaming, boys. That is another Thursday to a Bilibili fan.
BLG caused the issue, yeah.
Yep. Another Tuesday, I should say. But, man. Sorry, the Thursday reference, all our NACL folks, if you know, you know. But hopefully the fans get to enjoy themselves, and hopefully we get our MVP, because I really, if the first 5 minutes didn't happen, it would have been Rookie in my mind.
Pretty embarrassing solo kill still. He's not going to be able to live it down regardless of his performance in that game. At least in some of our minds, as Knight still has had the upper hand in terms of just the individual laning power, right? And that's what BLG still are known for, but this time IG were able to withstand some of that pressure and be able to win around these objectives and eventually turn this into a Game 1 win. But it is just one out of the 3 in a row that IG would have to take in order to get that reverse sweep over Bilibili Gaming to move on into the upper bracket finals. I would give the MVP to Meiko, or sorry, not to Meiko, to Gala, just on the Jhin. He had 11 kills. I feel like it's pretty fair to him. He was positioning really well. But I feel like everyone on IG played pretty good this game.
There we go.
12 kills. Even better.
Nice. 2 MVPs for Gala here in the playoffs, and all things considered, you look at the rest of the game, outside of that early game, calm, cool, and collected. Exactly what we expect from Invictus Gaming, and at least striking blood here in this series. Not making it a sweep, giving us at least one game. I need to be... I want to hold out hope. I have these guys as a dark horse, not even a dark horse, as a favorite to win the split. So I need IG to pull through for me.
Can't go to bed just yet, guys. We got more League of Legends left to play. Will Invictus Gaming 4 silver scrapes for the 3rd time this playoffs, or is BLG going to run away with this one with their preferred side? We'll find out in just a few short minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on LPL English.